Welcome back to This Is a Lot. We are thrilled to be here today with Eliza Shirazi, the founder of Kick It by Eliza, an award-winning entrepreneur and community builder you've seen featured on The Today Show, Glamour, Teen Vogue, and many other publications. What started as a passion project has grown into a powerhouse brand that's certified over 400 instructors and partnered with companies like Pop Sugar and New Balance. Her community has become a vibrant home for young moms, and today we're diving into her journey as an entrepreneur and her refreshingly simple, low-stress approach to health and fitness for busy moms everywhere. Liza and I are like friends of friends, and I mean, we've been connected for like over 10 years now. Your energy is just like so fun. I'm so grateful that you did this with us, and I just love like the evolution of your business. So I'm like really excited to dig into that and like any tips that you have for people that are like, I want to start something, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like you obviously started something younger, but I just feel like you have like the wisdom now. And I just think so many mothers at this age in particular, like you just have like a whole like identity awakening. So I just feel like that wisdom is something that people would love to hear. And Ellie wants to hear all of your workout tips, and so do
Yeah, I
I.
was like, can we ask her for tips for
Yeah, for sure, for
both your
sure.
health? Okay, great.
So I met you, Eliza. You were actually good friends with my cousin Emily, but also just like a celeb, right? So I met you and always felt like you were like the best energy and so down to earth. And I was in like a very transitional time. Looking back, I was thinking this morning when I was thinking about this, I had like just ended a relationship and I had moved in by myself for the first time. And like my cousin kind of wrapped her arms around me and like pulled me into like the gym she was at. And
Yeah.
like she was teaching classes and like I immediately got hooked like into your community. And the community is like a big like pillar for like what we're doing here.
Right.
And I just felt like the energy was like so authentic and like it was just like an awesome like thing to find for me at that time. So now again, in this sort of like moment in time, it's like so fun to be able to like pick your brain and talk to you and like feel that energy again.
For
So we
sure.
would love to just hear your backstory, your elevator pitch, and especially Ellie really hasn't heard it before. Just Kick It
Yeah.
by Eliza, where you started and just where you're at now.
Sure. The backstory is a little bit longer than an elevator pitch, so bear with me.
Love it.
But my story really started from failure. And to give some context, I grew up dancing. And when I was about to enter my freshman year at UMass Amherst, I naturally thought I was going to audition for the dance team, make it, hopefully, and continue my dance career. And I didn't make the team, but I didn't give up. And I guess they must have run auditions like a second time around soon after. Everyone was like on campus. So I tried out again and I didn't make it again. And that's when I kind of hit the panic button of what am I going to do now? Because I don't play traditional sports, really hate being on a treadmill. I'm kind of scared of like the general gym atmosphere, but I'm also like enamored by it and really interested in the studio space. And growing up, I'd always love to go to the studio parts of gyms, not to even necessarily work out, but to like practice my dances or just have like those full length mirrors like I would in a dance studio. There were a lot of parallels. So I hit the panic button and I thought, what am I going to do? Not for like even working out purposes, but what am I going to do for like a creative outlet and also
that.
to find friends and build a community? So I came back to what's the closest thing to dance for me, and that was being in a studio in a gym. So I took a group fitness class, and I had taken group fitness classes like in high school. It wasn't like brand new. It wasn't a brand new concept to me. I went in with a little bit of a different mindset of, could this be my community? Like, could these be my people when I'm here in college? And I took a step aerobics class, which I feel like some people are making step aerobics cool again, which they should, because that's a format that deserves to like really live on and thrive. And I loved it so much. And I thought, yeah, this feels like a really good fit if I'm not going to be dancing. And so I remember walking up, I remember the exact instructor. I walked up to her after class and I said, how do I do what you're doing? And she graciously introduced me to the director at the gym at the time, told me everything that I would need to do to become an instructor. And so I just started, auditioned to teach. I had no experience at all. My freshman year, the group fitness director said, what do you want to call your class? And I said, we can just call it Kick It. And that's what it was from like the very, very beginning.
That's amazing. And then give us like then where did it go? Like you have had
Well,
some very cool press and shows and things.
it's gone so many places, not necessarily in business since 2009, but teaching for a long while. And teaching my 4 years in college was so formative, not only as an instructor, but also as a human and getting to grow as a leader. Once I graduated, I was studying public health and communication. It was really, sort of by chance. I was like, sometimes you get a degree and you don't use it. I just
Yeah.
happened to be really sitting in that pocket of public health and communication. So I graduated and I started working at Brigham and Women's Hospital in the cardiovascular department, and I was helping with preventative care. So it was in Boston, helping people learn about heart health and fitness and movement. And it was such a good entry-level job for me because it got me into not the Boston fitness scene yet, but it got me kind of like street cred that I was working at a really amazing institution helping people with cardiovascular wellness. So at that point in time, it was like, okay, I got some street cred to like bring movement and health to people. And people don't really want to listen to a young 20-something-year-old girl fresh out of college. So the street cred was kind of important for people trusting me when it came to working out and fitness. And I would teach early mornings, I would teach late nights, I would teach weekends, I would teach anywhere that would have me. I started to step into like more influential teaching roles. Like I started to teach at Equinox and I started to teach at Everybody Fights. So I started to step into places that elevated me as an instructor and got me in front of the right audience, my like ideal client, which I didn't know it at the time. And my first kind of big break, I guess, for a lack of a better phrase, was the New Balance ambassador / sponsorship. Kind of like right place, right time. And it's good to like strike with your luck when you already have some experience. So everything just kind of like fell into place at that moment. And I wasn't, there's like the classic sponsored athletes that people see. This was kind of like a take on it, but they were mostly working with like influential fitness characters across the states. And I had people from New Balance because the headquarters are in Boston. I had them taking my classes. So that's how I kind of got introduced to that world. I also was in a grant-funded position at the Brigham, and the grant was running out. So I had to just figure it out. So I remember like crunching numbers of like, how many classes do I have to teach a week to survive? What does it mean with this New Balance sponsorship? It wasn't a lot, but it wasn't nothing. Like, what does that mean for my future? And can I make this work? Can I make rent?
Yeah. And this is kind of like before influencers and like sponsorships were a thing, really.
Yeah, this was 2015, 2016. I feel like that's like when bloggers were really big.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing, that they were like the pre-influencers. The biggest thing in my world was boutique fitness. Was they were experiencing like the biggest surge of all time. People were just figuring out that boutique fitness was the it factor thing, place to be. And my class fit really well into those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was just kind of like right time, right place, right amount of experience. And at the same time that I had secured that sponsorship, I decided I wanted to certify people to teach Kick It.
Which is a really good business move.
Yeah, I sometimes I wonder, like, how did I come to these conclusions? I really don't know.
You're not giving yourself enough credit. Like,
Yeah, I
we were
agree.
saying on a call earlier, like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Like, it's not just right place, right time, It's like when you have a natural, like, sometimes it's just an instinct and that's why you can't put your finger on it.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it was definitely instinctual because I can't really place another reason for why I was like, let me do this. Like, there was no like big aha moment. I just felt the want to teach other people.
Like, it's because you built the whole thing on community. So like anytime someone's seeking community, like, and what else were we seeking during the pandemic?
That's exactly right. And I never relied on a brick and mortar space for my business. I remember when I graduated, a lot of people from UMass moved to Boston and they were like, open a studio, open a studio, open a studio. And I did go as far as submitting a letter of intent on a space, and I was doing it because other people wanted me to do
Mhm.
it, and I didn't get the space, and I'm so grateful. This was like in like it must have been that 2016, 2017 time. I'm so grateful I didn't get it because that's not what I really wanted. And never say never. People still ask me to this day, "Are you going to open a studio?" Are you studio? I'm like, not right this second.
Yeah.
Like I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, but I just always felt a natural pull to try to stand on my own. And I've done pop-up studios, plenty of them in Boston, but I've never relied on brick and mortar. So when the pandemic happened, I was
Yeah.
very prepared to hit the gas on what I had and just translate it to online, which is I can talk a lot more about that.
Yeah, very cool. So, yeah, I'm like, how hard, and I think just because I'm thinking about like our audience, well, so first of all, because we're going to get into like, what can I do in 15 minutes? It's going to make me look hot again. But what, like, the idea of, like, well, two different things. One, as a career, like, becoming a fitness instructor is such a great, like, I love hearing that you're like, okay, like, I turned it into a business, but also, like, you're sponsored by New Balance. Like, that's
Yeah.
huge. Like, that's athlete, you know, like, that's athlete status.
Yeah.
And like, I think like that's just such a great career path, especially like I've had a couple friends that have quit corporate jobs and like become Pilates instructors because of the flexibility with kids or just, you know, wanting to do something different. And like they loved Pilates and loved the community and they're like, well, I want to start doing this.
Yeah.
I love the idea that it can be more than just like teaching a couple classes. And like I'm rambling on because my head is in a million different places, but like also I want to talk about the personal brand because I think Nicole's right. You're not giving yourself enough credit that I think that you just like dove headfirst into like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be successful. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm going to be successful. And the fact that you've like literally, you've built a business off of fitness and community, but also like off of yourself, which I think is super powerful.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about like, I guess like what it was like starting a business. Really, was it difficult? Do you think it's easier than people let up? And then what do you think? I think from that, like, what did you dive into the most, whether it be the community aspect or the personal brand aspect that really like, you know, helped you press the pedal down?
Well, to be so for real, I was not even chasing success when I was teaching in Boston. I was literally like, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And ignorance is bliss, truly. And I think that's what made me really good at what I was doing. I had some pressure on me when I decided, not, I guess I didn't even decide when my grant funded position was all of a sudden gone. I had to like really figure it out. But I was truly just like, can I pay rent? Period. I was not masterminding this whole business. It was just kind of step by step. I was doing a lot of stuff for free at the time, and that's how my following grew. I did a lot of work for charities, so we still do them. I did one this morning, actually. That's so funny, but we call them Kick It for a Cause classes.
Cute.
And back in, again, we're like kind of in the 2016-ish time frame. I would partner with amazing charities and host classes with hundreds of people. And again, it wasn't like, I'm going to do this to be successful. It was like, how freaking cool is this? We're going to get hundreds of people together and work out for a cause. I wasn't even getting paid.
Yeah.
So it was more about having fun and building community. And a lot of people in my age, in my age group at that time were, you know, fitness, like, and going to class was just like a part of the routine and schedule, along with like going to work and then going out at night and like getting drinks on the weekends. It was just kind of like a part of the culture, which is still true now. It's just kind of a little bit of a different schedule for people in my age group, but it's still for sure a part of the culture. So it was just like meeting people where they were at. And that's what I've tried to do since starting Kick It, is meet people where they're at. And that's what I've really like, I'm always diving into. It was so easy at first. It actually got harder when I started to get serious about it. And I was creating a certification and I was thinking about pop-up studios. And then I got this New Balance sponsorship. That's actually when it got harder for me because I had to figure out the business behind it. And I'm a creative first, business second. I think you just have to build a tolerance, because I'd say more days are harder than not. Like the wins are actually far and few between. Every day is a little challenging, some days a lot challenging. So you have to just build a tolerance for the challenges that come along.
I remember like a shift in your persona. I do. It sounds so creepy. And it's like it's coming back to me as you're like just talking, but like it definitely was your energy. And I want to underscore what you said because like Ellie and I talk about that all the time. It's so much better to just enjoy something and let it like organically grow. And you can feel it when people are trying too hard to like grow something from the start and they're looking for, and sometimes you just have pressure and you can't avoid that.
Sure.
But I feel like you were, like, so light and so fun, and the community thing was, like, the big driver, and it wasn't a bad shift, but I remember the shift in intensity, and
Mm,
I was feeling like I think maybe, like, we were on the same wavelength, like, when that intensity increased for you, and I
yeah.
could tell that you were, like, trying to, like, hit certain numbers and figure things out, and, like, that made me feel connected to you personally.
Yeah.
But it's like it's definitely a shift in the business and you have to expect that. Like the feel is going to change when you now have a real business to
Yes.
run.
Yes, absolutely. The feel is going to change and like the direction's probably going to change because you have to have things make sense. So some things
Yeah.
that you're currently doing, they might have to change and that's uncomfortable. But in order to survive, you have to keep evolving.
Yeah. So I listened to this podcast, but something, in all of the things that we consume.
Yeah.
That was like entrepreneurship, like a lot of times the rule of thirds applies where it's like 1/3 of the time things are gonna be amazing and you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is everything I've ever wanted. 1/3 of the time you're gonna be like, I'm gonna quit, I hate this. And like the other third of the time you're gonna be in like limbo or just figuring out what's next,
I
and that
agree
like
with that. Yeah.
you can't just expect it to be perfect all the time.
No.
I think the creative aspect is like I think everybody does. Like you go, especially like mid-30s, like you go through this. I'm like, I love to paint. Like I painted some paintings for my house and I was like, wait, should I sell these? Is this a thing? Could I make money? And then it's like, you do that. And then it's like, oh, I liked logos and stuff and like would do them free for friends. But I was like, the minute you pay me for a painting or a logo or whatever, it's not fun for me anymore.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of times there's this like belief, and I have friends that do it too, will be like, should we just quit and like consult? And like, I've had that conversations with friends all the time. And I'm like, it sounds awesome, right? Like on paper, like, oh my gosh, I could just like make logos and pretty pictures for people and brand. And I'm like, but that's like, that turns into work when you have to take care of all the back end stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, wow, like, be an influencer, do this, do that. And I'm like, there's a business behind that that's like actually really not fun to run.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That's for sure. Everyone sees like the glossy finished product, but there's
Yeah.
so much. And even influencers, like I don't consider myself an influencer. I guess I'm a person who influences and it's a part of my work.
Yeah.
But people who we think as like traditional influencers, they got a mean business behind what they're doing.
Oh my
Even
gosh.
though it looks like cute, flirty, and fun. Like that's
Yeah.
a real, and their job, part of it for some people is to make it look like
Mhm.
perfect, and inspirational or aspirational, like that's kind of a part of their shtick for some people. With Kick It, I feel like I try to peel back the curtain a bit on like the reality and sprinkle in just like honest conversations about running a business without overwhelming people because at the end of the day, I'm still providing a service and like that's
Mhm.
like the forefront of what I do. But yes, Instagram, like I am posting highlight reels and in
Everybody.
my
Yeah.
stories for the people who are really paying attention. I'm also talking about like what's really going on because I think that's equally as important for what I do. And that's going to be
Yeah.
different for every person or person of influence or influencer.
Yeah. Well, like you said, building a community, I think it's really hard to build a community like with a facade. Like people,
Yeah.
we're being fed so much bullshit online that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like all of our radars are going off a lot quicker these days.
Yeah, people are not stupid like we were in 2013 when Instagram was popping off. Like, people are very smart now.
Yeah, we've talked about before too. Like Ellie has she's like a very high energy person. I guess we all kind of are, but like that's so much too. Like to have to show up, like the way that you showed up, just like there's no way that every day you felt like doing that. And I think that people forget that too because it looks so fun. Like you were on the front page of like all these magazines and the Today Show and like
Yeah.
all these things looked so fun. But it's like okay, you could have had like your period that day and just been like
Oh,
this
yeah.
fucking sucks. Like
I just posted on my stories yesterday a clip of me teaching so that we can get into this, but the virtual membership is like the main bread and butter now to Kick It and one of the many arms, but like a big arm of Kick It. And I'm always posting behind the scenes of me teaching at home in my kitchen. Like it's not a fancy studio. But anyways, I just posted, didn't really want to teach today. And sometimes that's just the way it goes. And it's true. Like,
Yeah.
I had a raging headache all day yesterday. And then at 5 p.m., I had to teach, I get to, but at that time it felt like I had to teach a Kick It class with weights. And the playlist was my LimeWire playlist theme,
Oh, hilarious. Oh my gosh. Throwback.
which was so fun. And it brought me so much joy. But
Yeah.
did I want to do that at the beginning of class? No. My head was about to pop off my body.
I do think it's nice to hear that like a fitness instructor and somebody who's like built a career around this has days where you're like, God, I really don't want to move today. Because that's something that's I've really struggled with. I work from home. I'm in an office alone all day. Yes, I have a husband and kids at home, but like that's not like we're rushed in the morning, rushed in the afternoon. Like I don't have that social interaction that people get.
Yes.
And I feel like I just get like more and more tired. It's like,
I
and
get that.
so it's nice to know that like other people, I feel like everyone else is like going to workout classes, doing all of this. And I'm like, I just don't have that energy and I cannot get it back. But there's something about like hearing that also maybe you don't have that every day. It's really nice.
Not
Do you
at
have any,
all.
do you have any like motivation or like tips for like getting going again?
Can I share? I'm pulling this up just yesterday.
Please do.
No, maybe 2 days ago. It was the last reel I posted. I'm going to read it to you.
Love
It
it.
says, if working out feels hard right now, that doesn't mean you failed. It means your body's asking for compassion, not criticism. Life has been heavy and you've been carrying more than dumbbells. Your nervous system might be tired, not lazy. You don't need to start over. You just need to start gently. It's okay to reintroduce movement as a form of care, not control. You're not behind. You're human and you're allowed to begin again. And I share this because
Ellie's gonna cry.
Yeah, probably.
that's okay. People were emotional in the comments about it because everybody has a season where it's so damn hard. Like, I'm a human too. There's things that go on in my life that make it excruciating to show up. I have a commitment because it's my job. So, like, I have a real kick in the ass that I need to show up. But if you don't have that, or, you're in my position where you have to serve other people, it's so hard. And I feel like people beat themselves up so much about like, I'm starting over. Like, how am I going to go find energy to take a full hour class? How am I going to find like the energy to get up and go when I'm feeling like at a zero? And so I think a lot of it is just, I know it's hard. And it's like, how do you find compassion for yourself? But you have to find a little bit of compassion and also do things that feel right for you. So if movement is feeling hard, don't go like commit to an hour CrossFit class.
Yeah.
Go for a 5-minute walk around the block, period. Like that's like day one, go for a walk for 5 minutes. And then maybe in a few days, you do a 15-minute online workout, period. And like not feel bad about it. There's so much guilt and shame about starting over again that it holds people back from even starting. It's something that's so common and it's hard to combat if you're also chronically on social media because all you see are people like going to this class, going to that class. Look at my Pilates outfit. It's
Seriously,
like,
though. I saw a thing the other day that was like, I can't have a job because I need to go to Pilates and then I need to go on an hour workout and then I need to go make my green juice and all of that. And like, it is like so overwhelming to be like health. Like, I think health is packaged as like this massive commitment.
oh yeah, it
But
is.
it's so intimidating. And like, I think it's very easy to put that on the back burner as something,
Absolutely. Absolutely. People will put it on the back burner until they don't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
And usually that's like a whole result of thinking you need to be doing big things every day. So it's easy to put it on the back burner because like who the heck wants to do big action items of like taking our class every single day. But
Yeah.
I just think if people can think about movement as small little increments, like small little wins, that matters more, I think, than like this 60-minute class that you're forcing yourself to take. And
Yeah,
then
I love that.
end it.
And you're like truly like Kick It was probably the only workout routine. Like I played sports in high school. I also
Yeah.
had like 7 knee surgeries and like just like I always had like trouble running and like it just I don't know what it took on like a negative thing after college. Like just working
yeah.
out was like oh like and then truly like yeah, your stuff was just like fun. It went by quick and it felt like low impact and like the music was always great and like I always took the classes with you because it was early on. Like
Yeah.
like the energy was always great and it's like I didn't dread it. And then we would always go do something fun after. Like it was always like let's do this and then brunch and it was just like it took on this like you're saying like part of your
Yeah.
routine that was fun
Yes.
versus like yeah, you have to go do this many reps. because I personally, like, my take on working out, like, I don't know. I always feel like I have always had an intense job. I've always been intense about that. Like, I don't want to be intense. I just don't.
Yes.
Like, and that's not saying like I don't get that some people do, but it's like I can't. I don't know. There's just certain workouts I'm like I can't take it this seriously. I also am always talking to people, and so sometimes I don't necessarily want to like be with a bunch of people who want to chat with
Yeah,
me. Yeah, so everyone likes their own thing, but I feel like I don't know, I feel like I actually said this to Ellie before, like, Kick It's, like, perfect for moms. Like, it just is. It's, like, a fun energy and just something that, like, gives you a little, like, mood boost.
Yeah, that has been such like a joyous realization, the moms, because as I've gotten older, I used to, when I was working with people in New Balance in like their marketing team, they were so interested in millennials at the time because what I was 20, 24, 25, something like that. And I remember as I started to get older, there were questions around like, how do you continue to reach the younger generation, which I do think is important. I'm not naive to that, but I feel like my community has grown up with me. So I just turned 34. And so obviously, a lot of people are in many different stages of life, one of which is becoming a parent, a mother, or a mother figure to kids. And so when I took my business online, it was not I had actually started doing it in 2019, but I had to hit the gas in 2020 for obvious reasons. And today, one of the strongest demographics of that virtual membership, it's moms. And that has been just so amazing because I feel like validated. When I was in my mid-20s and they're like, how are you going to continue reaching younger generations? It's like they were forgetting about us, like that we were not going to be cool. So sitting here today, I'm like, oh my God, like this is like the strongest group of Kick It. And not only is it people taking classes, it's my instructors who are becoming moms. Like one of my instructors just gave birth a few days ago. It's like they're teaching through their pregnancies and then they're coming back and they're showing people what's possible. And that has just been so amazing for me to see, and giving moms an outlet for short workouts and also a community that gets it. It's like I keep kind of like stumbling over my words because it's like, my gosh, I was not expecting this.
Well, that's you meeting people where they're at. You just continue to
Exactly.
do that.
Well,
Right.
I also think like I need community more now than I did when in my 20s. Like,
bet.
and I was doing more like Pilates class. Like I was addicted to Pilates class when I was in my 20s, and like I was working from home then too, and it was like social and you knew your people. But like I probably just need to go back and do it. But I actually went to a class and everybody was so young, and I was like, I just don't know. Like I want to work out with people that are like, you know, like me for multiple reasons, because like they're 20 and they just look great, and I just don't need that. I'm kidding. I need that motivation. But like, I also can be like, New Balance, you're missing something. Like, you're not only are we growing up like in motherhood, but like even if you choose not to be a mom, you're growing up in your career, and like you've got a lot more disposable income. And you're probably also buying for a husband then, or, you know, some of the people are. And I want to be like, dude, I'm buying for 4 people now. I'm the main purchasing agent of clothing in our household. Like, you want me a lot more than you wanted 26-year-old me or 24-year-old me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
I like what you said about like we're being forgotten in a way. And it's like, that's like Brams, don't miss out. Like, I kind of think right now, like the 30 to 40, you know, we're powerful.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, like, again, this was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, things have changed over the course of that time. I just, like, really remember that conversation because it made me nervous to get older. And I thought, does my value decline the older I get? But I see women ahead of me in their 40s, and they're in similar positions that I'm in, just like, you know, a decade ahead. And you're totally right. They have this market of women that have probably more money than they've ever had in their life. They are the buying person of their family. And I feel like people now in this general millennial age group are so health and wellness focused that it's still a part of our culture and they're still spending there. So I just kind of look at people ahead of me and I'm like, wow, how cool is that? I still have like all this time to look forward to caring for people in my age group, because this like 48-year-old person has a fitness empire, like is killing it. And there are people older that are, you know, still killing it too. it's just a really nice thing to see like down the road what's possible. Because I really thought for a minute the older I got, the less relevant or like interesting I'd become.
How old is Tracy Anderson? Because I feel like she's like killing it more now than she has ever.
I actually don't know how old she is, but she's for sure, she's killing
Crushing.
it.
Yeah.
She's controversial, but she's killing it.
Who is your like, I'm looking for the word.
She's 50, by the way. She looks damn good for 50.
I love it in the sense of like, she's 50 and she's still like slaying.
Look up to the most in the fitness world or have.
Okay, I just yesterday, I was looking at an old interview in a magazine because I have these magazines that I've been in. They were literally stuffed in a drawer. And just this week, I was like, I should get these framed. Like they were in my basement. So I'm not even kidding. Yesterday, I was looking at one of these interviews and it said, who do you look up to? One person was Tracy Anderson, which is so funny.
That is so funny.
I cannot remember who the second person was that I listed, but to be honest, I feel like there's no one particular person anymore that I look up to. I feel like there's all these different sources of inspiration just from like kind of being on social media all the time and seeing all the amazing things people are doing. One who's just kind of like launched into the wellness, not necessarily fitness, but the wellness space is Hoda Kotb. She left the Today Show and she started her own app and it's all like fitness wellness focused, and I love Hoda, like die hard fan for Hoda.
Yeah.
And people were shocked that she was leaving the Today Show because she was at the top of her game, and it takes a really long time to get to where she was at in her career, and it's extremely hard, I'm assuming. And she was like, nope, like I've done what I needed to do, I'm gonna leave while I'm on top. And she did. This was like this past year, and she started her own like wellness. There is fitness components to it, but wellness app. And I thought that was so cool that she just like made this brave decision to leave while she was on top and do something that she wanted to do.
That's amazing.
Love that. Okay, on the topic of wellness, you tell me a little bit about how, like, do you focus on wellness stuff as well with fitness? Do you intertwine the two? Should I really be taking creatine? What do you think of colostrum?
That's a really good one. And I've answered this question the same since forever because I feel like it's such a muddy topic between fitness and nutrition. And I always say that I can't answer nutrition questions because I'm not a nutritionist. And I feel like there has been, for a long time, this crossover between fitness and nutrition people where there shouldn't be. So I always just say you want to be asking like actual experts in their space about it. Also, I'm kind of
colostrum.
I'm like, but do you take colostrum and do you take creatine?
I don't. I was just going to say I'm kind of an interesting fitness person because I don't have any restrictions. And I don't take a ton of extra things. That could change over time for sure. But I love to cook. I love, like real whole foods. But like I definitely went to McDonald's last week and got a medium fry and Diet Coke.
I mean, those two things are just like, that's just next level. So those are a supplement themselves.
Yeah, I would totally agree. So I kind of like sit in a funny place of, I lead a healthy lifestyle for sure, but I have dairy, I have gluten, I have all the things. I just do it in a way that feels good for me. And I'm not, if I post recipes or anything having to do with food, it's never from a place of like, this is only X amount of calories. It's like, dang, look how good this burger looks.
Yeah.
This is how I made it, sort of thing.
I
do want to just say that like I understand as we age as women that nutrition and diet and things do shift over time. So for sure, follow reputable people in those spaces and do what feels good for you 100%, because that plays a part too in like your strength when you're working out. It is all connected. I just want people to fuel themselves properly, like through the right people. So I just want to like leave that note there.
I love that. And I could literally talk about this all the time. I went to go, this is where it's like, you hit the point where Ellie just starts waterfalling outwards. I was like, oh my God, I can't lose the last 5-8 pounds that I really want to lose. Like, I'm just tired all the time, like blah, blah, blah. And so I went to the doctor and she's like, you are just like, you have a less than 2-year-old. Like, you just are like, you know, in a busy life. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you want us to run a panel? And I was like, yeah. And like, so we like ran a panel, and of course, like everything comes back completely normal. And I'm like, damn. So like, I just have to like eat healthier, sleep more, and go on more walks kind of thing. And I was talking to my doctor about it, and I was like, what do you think about creatine? What do you think about aminos? What do you think about, you know, colostrum, all of these things? And she was like, Ellie, put a bunch of frozen spinach and fruit in a bag in your freezer and mix it with yogurt and water in the morning and eat a vegetable. You can dip it in ranch. And she was like, stop. She was like, you are overwhelming and stressing yourself out, and by thinking that you have to do all of these things. And she was like,
Right.
go on a walk in the morning or at night. And like you said, 15 minutes one day, 30 minutes the next, an hour if you can get it in. Like,
Yeah.
and she was like, and just like set yourself up to like do simple things. Like, don't spend all this money on supplements that you think are like supposed to be. Cause she's like, it doesn't matter if you take creatine and, or all, I'm just using hot words, all of this stuff. If like you just are sitting at your desk all day and not moving, like that's not going to do anything.
For sure. Yeah. And I think it's important to stay curious too, like have conversations with your doctor. And that's, I just wanted to like kind of like reiterate, like, we get older, hormones change, things change. You have kids, like things change. And I don't want people to read that I'm naive to that. You know, I'm sure like my diet and the way that I eat will change over time. But Ellie, I completely agree in like staying curious. And also sometimes it's not that complicated. It's so different for everybody. And that's another reason why you have to be so careful about who you're taking information from and making sure they're experts in their own fields, because it is such a unique case by case thing. And I feel like the market is saturated with like, do this, take that, don't do that. Don't do that. It's so overwhelming that you start to question, like, am I doing the right thing? How do I lose these 10 pounds? Do I do this? Do I do that? Like, let me go to my doctor and run all these, you know, it's so overwhelming that I just want people to like take a breath and also remember it's an individual journey, and to consult with your doctor or professionals that you trust, because that's the best thing you can do. It's so easy to compare what everyone else is doing and get so overwhelmed by it.
Awesome. And it's just so fun to have watched like the evolution, your evolution. What I think is really cool is that you stuck with it. And so you, to me, like had that like huge burst of like fame, right? Like for our age and like what you were on. And it feels like a lot of people like kind of gave up after that initial, you know, a lot of people have that initial and then they're like, they're a little bored and they want that another quick hit. And then like what it shows, I think, is that you were really committed to what you were doing, right? You continued on. It's so interesting to start a business in your 20s, and it might be super exciting, but also the more exciting it is, to your point, the more stressful your 30s. And if it's a business that you love and you feel like you're always going to love, then there's going to be ups and downs at different times. So like, I would love to like hear your take on that. Like, what's the seasonality really? And also like loaded question, but like, what are things you might have done differently if you could go back?
Well, you need endurance, that's for sure, like mental and emotional endurance. It's so hard because I really remember those days of like being at Everybody Fights and like those massive classes and like the 2016, 2018 era where my business was not popping off. I was not making a lot of money, but my popularity was. So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, super. I think because everybody assumes like, oh my gosh, you've created this great following, like you're crushing it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because there are seasons for everything. So like when I was in Boston and like things were really, really skyrocketing me, like popularity wise, I was not making a lot of money at all. Like at all. I was just like, again, happy to be doing what I was doing. And I never looking back, I'm like, that was a really cool time. But I never was like, you know, tides are changing, like I'm going to quit. Cause I always was just happy to be teaching. Like that's the theme of this. It's like, there have been different seasons, but like ultimately I just love to teach. So I never really got bored. I just kind of got curious about like, how do I continue to love teaching? And then, you know, the pandemic happened and my business skyrocketed, and I guess popularity, for lack of a better word, also went up in a different way. I wasn't in Boston anymore, but it was
Yeah.
online. So like that was different. And like the Today Show was just a couple years ago. So like that's a long time after when I originally started. You know, that's like a long span where it's been all these different kind of like seasons and ups and downs. And it's just interesting because like the steady thing is I just love to teach and you need to love what you're doing. And it's really hard to have that endurance if you're so attached to like the round of applause.
Like, that's just a beautiful, beautiful statement. Yeah, I mean, it can land in with every single person in a different way.
If I could do anything different, I would just have more confidence in my work and not let outside voices and opinions sway my thinking so much around my business. I think because I started this so young, it has been really hard for me to not take other people's opinions and apply it to my business.
I love that. I feel like I'm still trying to figure that out. Like,
Same.
and people mean so well. I don't know if you watched like the Call Her Alex documentary. Like, I
Oh yeah,
just
I
watched
did.
it and I found it fascinating because it's like good for her parents for like, but like, what a hard thing, right?
Yep.
You know, a lot of times those opinions, they're coming from a good place, but so hard to block them out. What do you
It's
feel
very
like was one of the best pieces of advice you got?
It's a little cliche, but like the best piece of advice has been stay true to yourself. And so I think that goes back to not letting other people sway what you're doing or what you want to do. Or those like different seasons that we talked about and like the peaks and valleys. You don't have to be a chameleon for other people during those times. You can still stay really true to what you want to do, which is very hard. That is like a very hard muscle to flex because it can be easy when things are bad, you scramble on like, how do I change myself to make them good? So how do you, just stay steady throughout?
Right. I love that. I also love going back and you said like you never wanted space, but you like put in an LOI. And
Yeah.
like I think it's so interesting because people look back and like oftentimes ask like what was the best like thing that you did or the best piece of advice and then they'll ask like sort of like what would you change? But it is fascinating because we all have those near misses. Those like moments we were gonna take someone's
Yeah.
advice or gonna do something we knew was not what we wanted. And
Yes.
like reflecting on those, I think is like almost like bigger to be like, when did I breathe that sigh of relief that that didn't work out, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's like a relationship or whatever it might be, like those are the good moments to reflect on because it's like, why were you heading in that direction?
Those are the biggest lessons of all time. Like it was so hard in the moment or like when things go wrong or quote unquote fail or you don't get what you're trying to get or whatnot. Those are the most valuable lessons more than a win, I think. Like that's when you really build character and learn what you want. And those are formative times.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. We've spent like a decade. I probably haven't talked to you in like a decade. It feels like it flew by. But I was thinking because Ellie and I have talked almost every single episode about how we're both like, kind of like that high energy that people look for. And like in time, you've sort of like, you're still there. The energy's still there. And like everything about you's still there. But you just become more like sure about like who you are. And you just sort
Yeah.
of like mellow out. And like that was the first thing I noticed in the first few minutes talking to you.
That's a very big compliment because it takes so much time to get to that place and in your career too, like it just takes so much time to really feel grounded in what you're doing. And I'm not saying I have everything figured out because I certainly do not, but with all these years of experience you just kind of evolve into more certainty. Like I'm not certain about everything, but I can speak on what I've been doing in this last like decade or so. So my work still feels high energy and fun. I'm just a little more sure of what I'm.
Yeah. And when you make enough decisions, you realize like, I think when you're young, it feels like there's a right and a wrong decision.
Yes, that's true.
Now it's just like a choice. It's like there's 3
Absolutely.
choices. One of these might work out better than another, but like if I just commit to the one I make, we'll be
Yes,
fine. Like everything's not
absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. I love
That's a
that.
real feeling.
Well, I'm gonna run into the like Ellie loves the lightning round. Favorite pump up song?
Mary J. Blige, Just Fine. That is my
Okay.
ultimate. Like, if anyone is going for a walk, it's the perfect BPM to walk to. And the lyrics are amazing if you're really, really listening. So that is my pump up.
Amazing. Daily ritual. Something you swear by.
I'm not great at this every day, but I love to start my mornings by reading a little bit. So if I can, and the goal is to not look at my phone before I open my book. And I'm not talking like an hour of reading. I'm talking just like read a physical book for like 5 to 10 minutes before I pick up my phone. Something about that, something about not scrolling right away is very good for my brain.
I love that. And I knew it would be something simple, something people
Yeah,
could do. Last one, a time you almost gave up.
there are endless. There are so many. I think every time I've had to evolve, which is frequent, there are moments of genuine panic of like, can I do this? Should I still be doing this? It goes back to having that. But March 2020, it was like, is all of my work going to go down the drain? Like, what's going to happen? What do I do? And a lot of businesses did fold during that time. Mine did not. It did the exact opposite. But I will tell you, I was 100% like shaken with fear of what's going to happen.
Right. I think a lot of people were,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
incredible what you've done. And everybody got so much stronger from having to make that pivot.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's just so serendipitous that we were able to do this. The genesis behind Ellie and I doing this was just like longing for community. You know, you keep
Yeah.
talking about the pandemic, and I feel like I've blinked and it's 5 years
Same.
later, and we've sort of just like, whatever season you're in, like this like age bracket, I don't know, you kind of like lose your footing. Like you have those like kind of set friends, and then I don't know. And so we were both just like, we need to find a community. And this has been like the best part of my week, like just like
Yeah.
reconnecting with people or meeting new people. So like, I'm just so grateful that we got to chat again. And I hope maybe I'll get to see you in the
I
future.
know that would be so nice. And I feel like you're doing what we talked about is like meeting people where they're at. It's
Yeah.
like the same thing with your work and what you're doing. It's, everything is like an evolution. And I feel like you're just constantly meeting people where they're at. Because this is a
Yeah.
very specific and special chapter for so many moms or mother figures. And everybody needs community, but like different kinds of community as you grow up.
Yeah. I love that.